What's up, guys? Welcome back to Whitetail Obsession Outdoors. Today, we're going to try a little something different here. We'll try to make this fairly quick, give you a general idea, but we had a question come in, and excuse me for my voice, I'm still dealing with some strep throat or whatever, but we had a question come in and said, Dave, what would you do to set up a new property just by looking at a map? And we're going to use Hunt Stand. I'm trying to record the screen itself on my desktop. Hopefully this all works. Like I said, it's the first time that I'm doing this here. I typically use the Hunt Stand app, so I'm trying to get familiar with the actual desktop version. But I usually, when I'm looking at a map, I do it all from either the iPad or my phone or iPhone. But as you can see here, I just pulled up Demo Farm. But we're going to zoom in here, and this is a piece of property here in the red. This shows you, the property information. This big square here, or rectangle shaped here, it's about 98 acres. And I'm not going to show you the information for it because then you'll know where it's at. Over here is an additional 5 acres of property. It's right around 4.8. So on this property, when I first looked at it, I noticed this backfield here. So I noticed this backfield, so I said, okay, well, that could probably be a good place for a food plot. Well, I zoomed out, and when I scouted this property, I looked into surrounding areas, everything within, a mile, 2 miles, 3 miles in each direction, to know if there was any sort of agricultural fields around. Well, if you look at this, you got over here, you could say, okay, well, this right here, this dark area is probably some corn. You go over here, maybe not. Here's is probably not as well. You can look over in here, probably not. It's probably just some open fields. So once I got in the area and checked it, checked it out, actually driving around, I noticed that there was no food. Well, this again came back to me and said, okay, well, if there's no food in the surrounding areas, and if you zoom out, you could see all of these cedars, pines, these dark areas here. That's all cedars and pines. You got them all through here. It looks pretty much like a closed canopy forest, which there's no browse. So when you have no browse or limited, browse, and you're trying to, increase that food value, create some better food, more palatable food, you have to consider food plots, or you have to consider, some hinge cutting, some hack and squirt methods to open up that canopy to create fresh growth to allow that sunlight to come to the floor. So just by looking at this, using the Hunt Stand stuff, tools here, I said, okay, well, let me rope, put a marker around here just to see how big the property actually is. And you don't know if you could. Obviously these trees are in the way, so you could probably say, okay, we'll go here. You have to cut these down. You go here, you go here, you go here, you go back over here, and you go back over there. Double click it. We'll say food plot. So we'll go up here and just say food plot, and we'll hit done. We should tell us how big it is. So it's about 2.52 acres. With a 0.28 mile perimeter. So that's a decent size, food plot, So that's one way to look at it. So I looked at that and said, okay, well, that's a decent sized food plot. We can work with that. And in the future, if I wanted to make this bigger, I could go over here, 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 and here to make it even bigger. And we'll just do whatever, and then we'll hit done, and that gives us an additional almost 1 acre. So we could get 3.5 acres out of this field if we wanted to, but the question is, do you really need to? It just depends on how many deer you have in the area, what you're trying to do. But again, I looked at this and I noticed there's a road here. And if you look in, zoom in, you could kind of see how it goes down, and it maybe potentially goes here, and it comes back in the back. You can kind of see it. It's a road here, and then it comes back, and it actually looks like it continues. So I saw that on there and said, okay, well, that could possibly be a good access route into the property, you know. And after scouting it, you know, and things, I noticed like over here, this spot here was sort of a sanctuary. We'll just say bedding. That's definitely a bedding area, and you can't see it here because I can't show you the topo part of it because then it shows the address for some reason. But right here to here, 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 and here is, we'll say, it's a hillside, and it's south facing. That's a south facing hillside, so I did notice that, which is good because deer like to bed on south facing slopes, north side as well. So I saw that, and then I saw the bedding here and said, okay, well, if we do create a food plot here, we have something going for us here. We have a sanctuary here that they could transition back into this food plot. Well, it all worked out, but that's just, you know, some things you can do. You know, when I look at a map, obviously I look at the topography and things like that, the changes of habitat, and I take note on what's around. And if you look here, like you see this line where it's kind of jagged, and the timber kind of looks different. That this woods was actually had a select cut in it. So they took a lot of the good trees out. There's actually only one oak tree on the property. They took all the other oaks, which I really wasn't too worried about. But you can see that line there, and it was definitely a select cut through there, and which, you know, they pretty much went right up against the property line there. Now on this 5 acres over here, this part here, I have actually not done anything with yet to date. But if you see here, right, let's just make a line right there. We'll just say other, and we'll label it habitat change. So you can see the habitat change between trees. So I've actually never went over here before. We have a couple little things that we do, you know, right by the road here, but this line here is a good habitat change. So we're going to check that out. And deer are creatures of edge, so this is an edge between two different types of woods that meet up against each other, which could be good. So that's one way, you know, or one tool to use on that. And then also I want to put this here because this actually is a road that goes this way back, and it actually goes like somewhere back to there. We'll just say a road. Access. That's actually an access route. So if you're looking at this property here, and let's say you put all this, just tons of food in here, you know, the deer are in there all the time, how the heck do you get to it? Well, you have to consider access. And so what we ended up doing was we actually walked down this trail. We come down here, we go this way, and we actually put in, let's do this right here is actually, nope, can't spell. I'm just trying to. So this here is actually screening. So when we come down this trail here, okay, we have a wall of Egyptian wheat screening, and it blocks off our access from here to here. It blocks us off. So when we have that, we come over to, so we have a tree stand actually like right there. Right here we have a tree stand. So we come down this path here. Let me mark it out for you. So we come down this path with a good wind, obviously. We come back to here. We cut a trail over here, and allows us to sneak past the food plots on the back side, come around, and we have a stand right there. So that's what we use to get to this stand here, which we actually call the lucky stand. So over here, we have the same type of setup. Right here, which is probably about right somewhere right here. We have a Sad Daddy blind. So we actually come down this trail, and then we go boop, and then boop right into the back side. And then we also have screening here to here. So that's screening, and then we got the Sad Daddy here, which allows us to get into that blind without being detected in any sort of way. I've done it, many of times. So this is kind of how you can just basically set a property up just from looking at it on a map. And obviously, if you turn on the topo feature, it'll show you the hills and everything, which you'll see like right in here. This is all hillside. So you can't really do anything with it. This year or next year, 2020, we're actually probably going to burn this side. We're going to burn this just to create some fresh growth. And then we may add screening from here to here. We may add that in there as well. So that's just some features you can use, some ways you can go about this. Like I said, this here, like you see this edge right there, that's a timber cut there where they clear cut it out right through there. So again, if you're wanting to use the Hunt Stand app or desktop version to do this, you can set it up just like this. It'll work perfectly fine. Just get familiar with it. Like I said, I just use my tablet, iPad, and my iPhone to do it. I hardly ever use the desktop for this, but it does work good for a bigger screen. But general rule, if you're looking to buy property, lease property, I think one of the most important things that you could do is see what's around the property, 2-3 miles in each direction, because obviously deer will travel for food. So see what's around. If if the property's around an area that has just tons of agriculture, beans, corn, things like that, you could most likely benefit from a fall food plot. If you're in an area that doesn't have tons of agriculture around, then you could also benefit from a spring and summer food plot. It just really depends on your goals. It depends on what's around the property. It depends what's in the area. And it honestly really depends on your goals. If you're in an area that doesn't have a lot of food, typically the first thing that you'll see is deer that have their ribs kind of like sunken in. You can actually see the ribs. They're hungry, guys. They have no food. And that's a general indication of, what's around. So if you see that, then, you could benefit from food plots. And we certainly have. So again, we have this field here, this big field divided off. We have a clover plot on this side here. It's actually clover, and then we kind of rotate this stuff over here with beans, sunflowers, and Egyptian wheat we use for screening, and then some other varieties of clovers, some brassicas. We rotate it all, throughout the season. But this right here is just one access route. We actually have a stand over here, like right around here. It flattens back out, so you can walk around this way, or walk down this hillside, and then come into it this way, which is close to bedding. That's not 100%. I made this square here, but the bedding area is pretty close. It's actually a bunch of fallen down cattails, cedar trees, and stuff that had fell, and they like to bed in there. So yeah, we can walk around this way and get into it, on the back side, or front side, I should say. And then we have a couple more stands around the plot. We have a stand like somewhere back in there. We have a stand, and then we have some stands over here. We have some stands over here. But yeah, all kinds of different stuff you guys can do with this. So just a little tutorial here. Hopefully I gave you some tips, that could help you in the future. But that's just a generic setup, on a property. And again, most important factor is see what's around your property. Take an inventory, drive around, see what's there. If you see a bunch of deer that has the ribs showing, they don't have enough food. Agricultural, areas, you don't see that. The deer are more filled out. They just look generally healthier. So hope you guys enjoyed. Any questions? Post comment down below. I'll see you guys.